All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who rule well, and honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word of sincerity and truth. All right, so I wanted to talk about the RFID chip. Okay. I mentioned at camp this past week that the 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 infrastructure that's being put in place around the world is geared towards the implementation of the chip. And now you got Johanna coming back out, changing his take on what the RFID chip is. Changing what his take of the mark of the beast is. And it's great that all the brothers that are in GMS came out and keep pushing that thing, keep pushing it the right way, because you got people who depend on Israelites, regardless of what camp you're in, to give the proper information, right? They depend on us to know what the scriptures are saying, what the breakdowns of the scriptures are, what things that we need to look out for, in regards to Esau's wickedness and what he got coming down the pike. So it's good that we keep coming out and we keep teaching it the right way. But I wanted to specifically talk about the infrastructure, right, and how modern society has and is setting itself up to implement the RFID chip, right? The technology is everywhere, like Nathaniel made the joke a few years back, maybe back in 2010, 2011, that it was just, what does the RFID have to do with your dog, right? Is he gonna buy some lamb for you? That's how he was saying it in jest, right? Mocking us in so many words. And at the time, the tech and the infrastructure around it didn't. I'm not gonna say it didn't exist. You saw it in spots, but now it's everywhere, man. Everything is geared towards that RFID chip, and businesses and business models that follow the old way, like a cash or hand to hand, like for instance, right? No one thought Amazon or something like Amazon would exist today, right? Because when you think about, let's say, like buying clothes, for instance, right? Most people, when they buy things like clothing, they like to go inside the store. They like to touch the product, right? Feel it, see how it feels, try it on, right? And people probably, or not probably, but people thought that something like Amazon could never sell something like clothing, because it's that piece of the market is geared towards the touch and the sight to a person, right? But here you have it in modern day and age. You can get clothing on Amazon, or even these stores that are geared towards the touch and feel of a product. Now have an online portal or store that you can go to get their products and goods. So everything is changing, man. And I just wanted to touch on some of the things that because there's many, right? But I just wanted to touch on some of the things that are changing or have changed in preparation for this RFID chip, right? So the first thing I want to do before I do that, I want to go here. This is Revelations 13 and 16, right? It says, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. Okay? It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Right? So this is speaking to, regardless of what these other camps are saying this is speaking to a world, right, where there would be some type of thing. We'll call it thing for now until we get into the content. But there will be something that without that thing you couldn't buy or sell, no matter what class you were, right? No matter what type of income you were, right? No matter where you were, you couldn't practice or take part in commerce unless you had this thing, whatever that thing is, right? So it can't be your thoughts, right? Because you can lie about your thought. You can say, well, yeah, I'm with you. And then you can go ahead and get your, what are they going to give you, a lie detector test, right? There's ways of beating a lie detector test. They show you that in that movie Ocean's 11. Right? So if it was that, you could lie and say, yeah, I'm with the white man. I'm with the government. I'm with society. Now let me go in the grocery store and buy my groceries, right? If it was an embargo, it wouldn't speak to rich and poor, because people who are poor, right, they can't trade country to country and land to land. This is talking about on a personal level, right? Because it says in the right hand or in the forehead, right? So if it had to have been something that you could one be carried on your person, right? On a personal level, couldn't have been the thought, because people can lie about that, right? So what is it? And it is indeed the RFID chip. And I'll give a personal testimony. I probably said this before, but before I got into the truth, um, I had heard about the RFID chip being a mark of the beast, and this is before I even knew anything about the Bible. I was on some, the Bible is the white man's book, so I didn't even, as far as I've read in the scriptures with Genesis 1:1, maybe I got to the 20th. The 20th verse in that chapter, and that was the extent of my biblical experience. So when the elder apostles got on YouTube, they were giving out lessons, right? Because there was hundreds, even almost 1,000 videos on that first channel. And when they were giving out information, I had this RFID chip thing in the back of my mind, because all of this stuff was coming out to me. So I would listen to them, and I was like, man, I wonder what they think. I would always say, I wonder what their take is on this RFID thing and the mark of the beast, because the mark of the beast is a biblical thing. These guys are teaching the Bible, so I wonder what their take on it is. And one day, it was early in the camp, because it was still daylight outside. Elder Apostle Tahar brought out a book. And they started talking about the Illuminati and all of that, and they brought up the mark of the beast and the RFID chip, and I damn near jumped through the ceiling in my living room, because I was so ecstatic that that they were talking about this thing, because I knew I felt in my spirit that that RFID chip was the mark of the beast. So I forget where I was going with that, but again, I want to get into the infrastructure and how it's being formed and developed in very simple terms too, to understand. I'm not going to get into any high level wisdom. It's obvious. The evidence is there, right? So first I looked up the word infrastructure, right? So the definition in Google, let me open this up. Maybe there's something down there, but the definition in Google is the basic physical and organizational structures and facilities, example given, buildings, roads, power supplies, needed for the operation of a society or enterprise, right? So let's go down here and see what it says. Infrastructure. Normally it breaks it down. Let's see what this says. Infra, below or under a part of the body, right? Let's go back, get structure, which pretty self-explanatory. I'll get it anyway. The arrangement of and relations between the parts or elements of something complex, right? So the RFID chip, right, is a small part of a large, complex arrangement of things, right? Right. So we talk about the RFID chip, right? Nate jokingly talked about it being identification, right, or a tracking device, right? Well, the companies that make this chip, right, this RFID chip, or it's called many different things, right? But the companies that make it have made one in particular, Verichip. I did a show on this way back, maybe back in 2011, 2012, that spoke to how that microchip, or Verichip, the company that makes the chip, partnered or bought out a company called Steel Vault. I should have looked this up because I wasn't going this route, but Steel Vault was a company that dealt in financial security, like identity theft and things of that nature, and protecting your identity in this new aged electronic transaction, right? Um, and those two companies merged together. So now Verichip goes from being a company that makes a chip for identification to now being a company that makes a chip for identification and financial resources. You see? So the chip is just a small part of that, right? So what I have pulled up is some articles of different parts of your everyday life, right, that have um, changed to fit the RFID chip, as a currency, or as a way of living, right? So the first one I got is this one here. Come on now. All right, so this is the first one. This is from back in 2004. President George W. was still in there, and I just want to show you right here. So it says electronic cards replace coupons for food stamps, right? So we always talk about this. I to tell you the truth, I wasn't familiar with food stamps in my later teens. So 2004, I was 19. I was 9. A matter of fact, I had just turned 19. 11 days before that. 11 days before this article came out. So I was 19 years old. So, my parents, they were working. They didn't, because in my younger years, we were on food stamps, but in my later teens, we weren't on it. So I wasn't familiar with um the structure. So as far as I know, EBT or food stamps or SNAP has always been the card, right? So to hear this, to say that it was 2004, I was like, damn, I was, full fledged, knee, like the elder said, knee deep in some pussy by this age. So it's funny that it was when it changed. I didn't realize the change because I had always known it to be, this way. So let me read this real quick. It says the Bush administration announced Tuesday that it had completed one of the biggest changes in the history of the food stamp program, replacing paper coupons with electronic benefits and debit cards. At the same time, the administration said it wanted to rename the program because the term food stamps had become an anachronism, which basically means it's old. I looked it up right here. It just basically means it's a term that is being used in modern day and it doesn't fit modern day anymore. Continuing on, it says It is inviting the public to suggest how to update the name of a program that became a permanent part of the government and the nation's vocabulary during Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society era. So during Lyndon B. Johnson's administration is when the welfare state came into play, right? Which is a big part of this chip. Which is I did a show on it recently, but Lyndon B. Johnson's welfare state is a big part of administering this chip, right? And why? Because if we can get the people, right, to stop being independent, right? Because the independent mindset is one of I don't need the government to govern me. I'm a sovereign. I can pay my own bills. I can get my own job. I can support my family. I don't need the state, right? But then when you get this other state dependent person, right, which needs the government or the state for housing, for food, for cash benefits, I then can control that person because I have this incentive for them, right? So this Lyndon B. Johnson's welfare state was a big step into implementing the RFID chip, just solely based on the fact that if we can get the people to depend on the state, then we can administer the chip with no fight, because we can threaten to take those benefits from them, and they will gladly take the chip so that they can maintain those state given benefits, right? So continuing on, it says electronic benefits have replaced food stamp coupons in all states, and more than half the states now issue electronic benefits in place of welfare checks as well. In addition, some states are using debit cards for medical and in the special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children. Now that's another thing, right? Now just to show you how fast this thing has changed in the last 15 to 20 years, right? My oldest son is 14 years old, right? Me and my my ex-wife, I'll say, at the time we were young, right? So we took advantage of some of these state benefits, right? WIC being one of them, right? Now, when we first started, right, when my son, this is back in 05 now, 06, the WIC, the way WIC was used, they had these big ass checks, probably as big as, I know you can't see my laptop screen, but as big as this screen almost. These checks were huge, and it was a voucher, and on the voucher it had a list of things that you could get with that voucher, and you had to use them in a certain amount of time, if my memory serves me correctly, right? And you would go in, you would look in your list. You could get like 2 gallons of milk for the month. You could get like a certain pack of cheese. You could get certain cereal that was checked as WIC allowed cereals, right? And you would have to get all of that stuff. So we had like 2 gallons of milk. It was helpful. It was helpful. But then when I got down to my younger son, who will be 3, right? They now issue out WIC cards, and I was like, damn, that wasn't that long. Well, at least it felt like it wasn't that long ago. My kids are what? My sons are 12 years apart from each other, and in 12 years, it went from those big vouchers, those big pieces of paper, to now WIC being issued out in cards, which is the same thing. Now you can go. Now they have an app. You can go on the app, and you can look on there to see, which we don't use WIC anymore, just as used as a disclaimer. But you could go in there on the app, and you could look at all your list of things, same as that voucher was, and see what you have left on your card, so you can scan your card for the month for those things, right? And this is just 12 years. A 12-year gap. We went from being WIC went from being a paper voucher to being on a debit card, right? Or to being on an electronic card. Why? Because the infrastructure changed. The infrastructure changed, and now we're moving towards a society that's paperless and cashless. Now imagine this, right? You remember before, back in the day, to pay a bill, you would get your bill in the mail, right? You would rip off that bottom part of it, and you would, fill out how much money you putting in there, and you would use that part. You would put it in the envelope with the money or the money order or check, right? You would seal it up, go buy a stamp, and now what happens when you get that bill in the mail? On the back of that envelope, it says go paperless. Why? Because they're getting you used to electronic transactions, man. The infrastructure is changing, right? So I'm gonna read a little more of this. It says, Agriculture Secretary N.M. Venema, Veneman, declared an end to the paper era. Boom. Right? It says, a food stamp program on Tuesday at a conference of state officials here. All right. It says, this month, the food stamp program arrived in the 21st century, Ms. Veneman said. States are destroying the paper coupons, and we don't anticipate that we'll ever have to print them again. Food stamp recipients generally like debit cards because they avoid the stigma that can be associated with the use of paper coupons. Grocers like the new technology because they are paid faster, often within 48 hours. Cashiers do not have to handle vouchers, and there are no coupons to sort, count, and bundle, right? So that's just that article, right? So that's one facet of life, right? So I'll cut in here to read a scripture, right? So this is 1 Corinthians 2:11. 1 Corinthians 2:11, it says, for what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of a man? This ain't right. 2 Corinthians 2:11. Salakia. Bear with me for a second here. This is 2 Corinthians 2:11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, right? So I read this to say this to you got what's this nigga here? Let me not say nigga. This guy Zabak, right? And you got Johanna, right? You got all these other camps that are disagreeing that the RFID chip is the mark of the beast, right? Even if it isn't, shouldn't you agree that the so-called white man is Satan, right? Right? He is the physical counterpart of Satan. So if that is indeed true, then anything that he comes up with, anything that he develops, you should question. You should question it. Because he is indeed Satan. And you should question anything that he has based on this scripture. Right? Unless he get an advantage of you, for we are not ignorant of his devices. What is, right? Let's look up that word ignorant. Right?
Strong's G50. Agnaeo.
Agnaeo, right? Which means to be ignorant, not to know, not to understand, right? Unknown, to err or sin through mistake, to be wrong, right? So we don't want to be ignorant of Satan's devices. We want to make sure we cover everything, that we know everything he got going on, man. Right? So let me go to this next one, which I probably could have read first, because this one here is what supports all the other things, right? Meaning this, because of this Verifone company and their pay pads, I'll call them, the things that you scan or insert your card into, because of that technology, EBT being on a card is possible, WIC being on a card is possible, debit cards are possible because of this company, man. Because back in the day, the only people that had a card to pay for things are people that could be qualified for MasterCard or Visas as credit cards. Now everybody got a debit card, man. Right? And I remember, like, your debit card, you could only use your debit card. And this is when I first got into the workforce back in 2003. It's not that long ago. When I first got into the workforce and I got my first bank card, you could only use that bank card to get money out of your account. to get cash out of your bank account. And you had to go to the ATM with your bank card, put it in, and then you could get cash in return, right? Now, you can use your bank card as like a credit card or a debit card, which is basically you paying right there at the register with your bank card, man. And this is only, 2003 is what? 16 years ago? That's not that long ago, man. That's not that long ago, right? So let me read this. It says Verifone is an American multinational corporation headquartered in San Jose, California, that provides technology for electronic payment transactions and value-added services at the point of sale. This is what we're moving to, right? Pay attention to the infrastructure. It's very simple, man. Do you not think we're in the end times? Do you not think that this RFID or this market of beast is something that we should be looking for? They're trying to go to electronic payment services, man. And not trying, they're doing. It's very rare. Like I remember I used to be able to save change in my bubble because I always had paper money on me. Now I never save change because I never have paper money. Right? So it says Verifone sells merchant-operated, consumer-facing, and self-facing payment systems to the financial, retail, hospitality, petroleum, government, and healthcare industries. Damn, I didn't even read this. I just, clicked on Verifone. I was just going to read it a little bit. It covers everything. Verifone is a company that's a part of everything, and it's not a mistake that it sounds a lot like VeriChip. It's not a coincidence. Okay? It says the company's products consist of POS, point of sale, electronic payment devices that run its own operating systems, security and encryption software, and certified payment software, and that are designed for both consumer-facing and unattended environments. So you don't even need a cashier. You could just, and now to even take it a step further, Verifone is leading the market in pay by phone, which I also have pulled up here. So you don't even need a debit card or a bank card or a credit card. You could just load your money on your Cash App or your Venmo or your Apple Pay, right? And just touch your phone up against these Verifone POSs and you pay for your transaction, man. And you mean to tell me that they're not changing the infrastructure to make it fit the RFID chip? Come on, man. Grow the fuck up, man. Stop being so prideful. It ain't about a GMS, IUIC, or HOI or whatever the fuck. It ain't about that, man. Grow the fuck up and tell the truth. All right, I'm going to continue on. It says its products process a range of payment types, including signature and personal identification number, right? Base debit cards, credit cards, contactless radio frequency identification cards. Okay? Smart cards, prepaid gift and other stored value cards, electronic bill payment, check authorization and conversion, signature capture, and electronic benefits transfer. Your EBT, nigga. In 2018, Verifone was acquired by Francisco Partners for $3.4 billion. The company's architecture enables multiple applications, including third-party applications such as gift card and loyalty card programs, healthcare insurance eligibility, and time and attendance tracking, and allows these services to reside on the same system without requiring recertification upon the addition of new applications. So they can just put that chip right in there. No, you don't need to change. We don't need to change nothing. All of this is on this POS. So you punching in and out of your job, which we at my job we just changed the system that we used to punch card. We had one system and now they moved to another. So I know that shit is next. And guess where I'm going? Out of that motherfucker. Lord, I pray that the Lord keep that spirit on me, man. So you don't even need to change the system. All of that shit is on there. You can your insurance benefits, your punching in and out of the clock, your payment, all of that shit is connected, man. And you mean to tell me that the RFID chip is not the mark of the beast? The fuck is wrong with you people, man? Come on, man. You can read the rest of this yourself. Okay? So let me move on to the next. Let me read another scripture first. I don't even remember what this one says. Really quick, let me go over here. This is shit, let me do it this way. This is 2nd Ezra's 8 and 27. 2nd Ezra's 8 and 27. It says this. It says, regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen, but the desire of those that keep thy testimonies and afflictions. Right? This is what you should be doing. You should be testifying to these things, man. Man. So let me go to this next one, man. This is matter of fact, from there, I'll go here. Show you this quick. Boom. Check this out. Check this out.
Apple today released iOS 8.1, and along with it, unlocked the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus's ability to use Apple Pay to pay for items in stores with your phone. As long as the store you go to has a terminal that can take tap to pay payment.
Right, which is that Verifone terminal, right? Look, just pay attention. Go to the store. Go to the store. I know it's not just here in Massachusetts. Go to the store and look at the name that's on these POS systems. And it says Verifone on it. Just look at it.
You have to tap your phone to it when it comes time to shell out the money.
Hold on. I missed that.
Now,
say that again, white boy. Say that one more time. Hold on. Let me go back a little bit further. Say that one more time.
Payments. You simply have to tap your phone to it when it comes time to shell out the money instead of tap to pay payments. You simply have to tap your phone to it when it comes time to shell out the money instead of whipping out your wallet. Now,
tap your phone to it to make your payment instead of having to pull out your wallet. What's next? You tap your hand on that bad boy or your forehead on that bad boy. You niggas better stop underestimating Esau, man. Esau a bad motherfucker. He oh man, you better stop sleeping on Esau, man. This is coming. The RFID chip is the damn, I'm excited, man. The RFID chip is the mark of the beast, man. Can't be nothing else. Let me play a little bit more of this. Go ahead, Esau. Say your piece.
NFC and tap and pay are by no means a new concept. Android devices have had this ability for years, frankly, and some credit cards even had the ability built in before that. Thing is, though, it hasn't been the fastest thing adopted by stores. But with Apple finally jumping on board, I'm willing to bet that'll change pretty quickly.
Let me see this is 2014. So they did adopt it pretty quickly. Because I remember one time I was working security and I was out of town and I hadn't gotten paid yet. It was early in the week and I was nigga was hungry, I'll admit. And I was at these I was working a fair and none of the none of the food places at the fair had, like card payment, right? So I was like, damn, how am I gonna eat, right? So I didn't have no cash on me, so I was like, you know what? Let me try to use this phone. I'll put some money on my Apple Pay, and I'll try to use this phone. And sure enough, I scanned that joint, man. I was so I was happy. I ain't gonna lie, because I was hungry. I was hungry, so I damn sure I got myself some groceries so fast, man, with that little bit of money I had there in that thing, man. So this is 2014. I think I worked that fair. When was this? 2016. I think I worked that fair. Yeah. Yep. So that 2 years it took from Apple implementing it to it now being in stores all over the place. It took 2 years, man. Imagine that.
Which is, well, good news for Android users as well, really. To use Apple Pay, first you need to connect your device to Wi-Fi, head to Settings, General, Software Update, and install iOS 8.1. Then, once that's installed, open up Passbook and tap on the plus sign in the top right corner. Then tap Set up Apple Pay, select the type of card, and input your card info. You can even tap the camera icon next to the card number to have it automatically add the card number and expiration date. Magic. To use Apple Pay, find any terminal with this tap and pay symbol and simply hold your phone to it when asked to pay. You'll be prompted to use your fingerprint or PIN to confirm. That's all there is to it, really. Now,
I wanted to see something. Boom. Look at that. What that say there? You motherfuckers better stop playing. Verifone. You see that? Oh shit. So let me go to one more thing, man. You ain't gonna say much more. Let me go to one more thing here. And this is also I should have man, I might want to do a whole nother. Yeah, let me do something else on that one, because that's a good one. All right, so that's it, man. I didn't realize I had been doing this for this long. That's it. Hopefully that was edifying. Listen, man, the RFID chip is the mark of the beast. There's no question. There's no doubt. If there is question and doubt in your mind, you better pray to the Lord that He open your heart up to it, so that you don't take that thing, man. So with that being said, I give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rachak. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who rule well. Honor salutations to the hopeful elect. And with that, I say shalom.